Hello and welcome back to the Paropod.
Hello.
It has been a hot minute since we've done a two-person podcast.
It has. It's been a while.
I think it's been like a month and a half since we've recorded.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah.
Because we would have had Robin on for the last one.
That's a good
And
month.
that was a fucking ages to record that thing.
Yeah, that was in the oven for a while.
Mm-hmm. Cooking.
It cooked away, and I think it came out great. I gave a little listen before launch. It's very, very good. I thought that worked out.
I thought so. Too bad like no one listened to that episode, but whatever. The most amount of effort I put into an edit, and no one fucking watched it.
Don't worry, YouTube will pick us up.
I swear. Okay, this episode we are talking about Zack Snyder's 2009 film Watchmen. In a gritty and alternative 1985, the glory days of costume vigilantes have been brought to a close by a government crackdown. But after one of the masked veterans is brutally murdered, an investigation into the killer is initiated. The reunited heroes set out to prevent their own destruction, but in doing so, uncover a sinister plot that puts all of humanity in grave danger.
Brr, brr, brr.
Yeah.
Damn. Watchmen. We've all watched Watchmen.
We also planned on reading it, but that didn't go according to plan. Exactly.
We're busy bees. That has to be said.
I have been so fucking busy. Oh my god. I've been so fucking busy.
How's it all going?
I want to quit college. It's too much, but we've a month left. We keep moving.
A month?
We keep moving when we keep balling.
That's crazy, yeah. Do you have many exams?
I have no exams in my course.
No exams at all?
It's all assessments.
One more month and
Well, no, one
free.
more month, and then I give myself a week off, and then we are into video game production for my thesis.
For your thesis.
Yeah, making a video game.
Oh, you chose that?
Yep.
You're making a video game?
Making a video game.
Like an actual video game?
Well, the aim is to make a video game. Whether or not we actually make a full video game remains to be seen, but the plan is we're going to make a video game.
What are you thinking?
We're going to make a coffee simulator game.
Coffee simulator?
Like a coffee making game.
Mm.
And little animals come in and they ask for coffees and you make the coffees for them. And then there is like storylines going on between the characters.
So it's like a cross between Animal Crossing and Little Mama's house or whatever.
Cooking Mama.
Yeah.
And do you ever hear that game Papers, Please?
Yeah.
Like in that game, I'm taking a little bit of inspiration in how in that game you don't talk.
Set in Soviet Russia.
Yeah, it's like you don't talk to any of the characters, but by like taking objects from them and then giving it to other characters, you engage in their storylines, and that's how it works.
Okay.
So I'm thinking about doing something similar for this game, but less. The stakes will not be as high as a fascist border control person.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be cozy. It's gonna be cute. Hopefully, I'm not even worried about that. It's just everything before it. I got so like I'm fucking script writing. I'm telling you, man. Graphic designers, you all are psychopaths. I don't know how anyone does that.
Boy,
it is so monotonous. It's like, oh, I'm just gonna sketch this. Okay, now I'm gonna go into Illustrator and do it. Okay, that looks like shit. That's not what I thought it was gonna look like. Okay, let me start again.
Yeah.
Oh man,
What are you designing?
Like just little graphics and logos and stuff. It's one of my modules.
Mm.
I've got no interest in that shit. I did this course to like learn films and shit like that. I don't got no interest in app design and fucking graphics.
Just do an outburst in class. I didn't sign up for this shit.
I'm mad as hell.
Just start quoting network. Come on, everybody.
Yeah,
I'm mad as hell, and I'm not gonna take it anymore.
Just start quoting like, what's that? The Great Dictator. You are not machines. You are men.
You just get asked to leave.
Like, what are you doing? Everyone else here is like, well, I want to be up to something. Like, I didn't ask you what you wanted to be. It doesn't matter what you want to be.
Yeah, it's a radicalizing experience going to college.
I fucking tell you, man. I'm not joking. I'm doing this course. I'm like, beforehand, I was like, you know, when you're in your undergrad and they're talking about PhDs and stuff like that. And you're like, maybe I'd like to do a PhD. Fuck no.
I've never. I only know one person who's done a PhD and liked it. You know, like really enjoyed it. I got something out of it. But you have to like you get it's just minimum wage for like 4 years, but then it's like you're just kind of up in the air what happens after that.
Yeah, that's
as far as I know.
Well, good luck.
Yeah, it's like well done, pat on the back.
Well done, doctor. Off you go.
Yeah. Fuck off out of here.
Good luck getting a job.
Yeah, PhD never for me. Yeah, I've got a few assignments as well. My little fake course.
Yeah, like you're only doing something small, and it seems like you have way more assignments than I do.
I'm just very bad with like I have an assignment due yesterday, which I haven't done. So I have to go home and do that when I get back. get that sorted. 3,000 words. It's like, why is there any need for this to be 3,000 words?
Yeah,
that's all about like there's like because it's like half like technical like scientific kind of stuff, which was very difficult. But that's already done with. And there was only like 2 or 3 assignments for that, but they're quite big. But now it's all like business stuff. It's like project management and like change management and risk assessments and stuff. And it's just I did business for 1 month in college.
You dropped it.
You remember I dropped it. I was like, which course I do? Just the one that my mates are in. I did media now. But this thing like business is just so much of business theory is just stuff that like people talk about arts degrees being useless. But some of the ideas you do in arts degrees, like if you go to business, it's literally just arts degrees for like complete idiots. It's just like dumbed down and using like different language, and then applied in like applied practically. But then they're like, whoa, this is just like this mental model will just like supercharge your KPIs and your like your business dynamism. And all. I was like, this is just kind of. Like
you're just talking uses and gratifications, bro.
Yeah, like this is just we did all this theory before. Like this is all pretty like this is the theory that we did in media undergrad. Oh man, like it was but just applied. And they act as if it's like the Manhattan Project.
That shit is coming back up. Like the stuff that we did in media studies is coming into my course.
Oh,
and I was like, maybe it'd be like further developed at a master's level. Nope, it's the exact same.
Like what?
Like uses and gratifications has come up in 2 or 3 different modules, and it's what we learned in undergrad.
What is so masters is just more specific. Is it?
I don't know, because in the theory level, it's like, okay, so these are the reasons people engage with media because they want to learn, they want to empathize with the characters, they want escapism, they want social enhancement, and I can't remember what the 5th one is.
To do what we're doing right now.
Yeah, and it's just like, okay, yeah, cool, grand. Yeah, I learned that in undergrad. Like we had like a whole module dedicated to learning about these theories, and then the slide is over, and it's like, so
that's it.
Like that was it. Like I'm not like obviously these
so
are
I already did this.
Yeah, I already did. It's funny because like people in my course, I think I'm the only one in the course that is coming from the theory side of things, whereas everyone else has like way more practical experience. So for example, we're shooting shots for a short film. And everyone's following the 180 rule, and I was like, do you want to break the 180 rule? And they're like, no, you're not meant to do that. I was like, well, you can if if it's got a reason for it, like, and here's the reason why we should break the 180 rule. And they're like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And I didn't go to class after that because I was off doing my driving. I was off failing my driving test. And
next time.
It came up in that class, the theory behind the like breaking the 180 rule. And like, that actually came up, and you were right. And I was like, yeah, I studied the theory side of shit. I don't know how to work a camera, but I know why you should use a camera.
I told you. So yeah, it's honestly a lot of the theory. Like I remember at the time I thought some of it was just like kind of useless, but it actually does. It actually does have real world applications. Not even just in the specific circumstances, what the theory is about or whatever, but like in other things as well. But it actually was kind of useful, which is kind of weird.
Yeah, it's like
become nearly not useful directly for a job.
Yeah,
but it is actually in practice when you get into a job.
Thank
in
God
the real
it
world.
wastes those 3 years of college.
Yeah,
there is some uses to learning. Like
we had
English
a good deal.
Fucking useless, but let's say that media studies.
English, English was a bit of a piss. But no, it's we had a pretty good course, I have to say.
I
You
have
know,
to say,
appreciate
it's funny
it.
as well because like I'm coming from all the people that did like practical work, whatever. Then when it comes to the writing, I'm just like, oh, let me do this.
Yeah.
I know this shit.
Yeah. Hands off.
Hands up, this is mine.
Yeah. No, happy days. How's the film going? The short film.
It's going.
It's going.
We're doing actual shoots tomorrow,
Yeah.
but it's fun.
On location.
Yeah, in me gaff on location.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
It's fun. It's again, I think like when we did our undergrad, I feel like we thought that it would be much more practical, but it really was.
Theory.
It was media studies. It was not media production.
Yeah.
And
Didn't pick up a camera once.
No, not even once.
Not once.
I can't tell you, man. I've been in that loans office so much. I've been been in there constantly. The studios, I've been in them. I've been in them this semester.
Yeah, I was in them once for an MPS, the 24-hour broadcast, for a photo. That was it. That was the only time I was ever in it. I didn't know what any of the things did.
Yeah.
I didn't go to the control room or anything.
I mean, I was in the control and I was like, I don't need this shit.
I don't need this shit.
I don't need this shit.
Walk with your sunglasses and like your ascot. I don't need this. This is a
Listen, I know encoding, decoding theory. I don't need to know.
Yeah, this is getting in the way of my creative process.
These buttons.
This machine. I'm not a machine.
I need my hands. Oh no. I tell you what though, I have regressed is the only way to. I've regressed, but in so have evolved in a certain way, Mark.
Yes, I like that.
I have been looking at physical media a lot more. I've been thinking about
like how.
Yeah, so you know that like the own Blu-rays and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I was in work and we got a bunch of like iPods in, and I was like, man, I miss iPods.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I saw that when I walked in. I was like, for a second, I was like, what the fuck is that? And then I just forgot about it.
I got myself an iPod, a classic. Wait. Well, hopefully this will work. Wait, hon. Wait. Unlock, please.
Oh, the wheel. I love the wheel.
I don't know if that's coming up or not.
That only works when you're playing music, doesn't
I
it?
don't know. No, it doesn't even. This thing, I'm not right.
That's it.
So, here's some things about the iPod that I forgot. When you turn your iPod to sleep, you can't pause the music, you can't fast forward the music, you can't turn up the volume. It's locked. Like, you have to physically unlock it if you want to change anything.
Yeah.
So,
this thing.
Yeah, the lock button, up at the top. When you play music, you have to have it either connected into a speaker.
This is bringing me back, man.
Or have the headphones in. Yeah.
Yeah.
And like, as a result of this, like, this single use item, this thing can only play music. It can't do anything else.
There's a few games. Klondike is on this.
There actually is. There's actually 3 games. There's Solitaire. There's the pin, the bouncing ball with the bar at the bottom bouncing game.
Yeah.
And there's a game where you shoot soldiers as they try to land in their parachutes.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, the greats. But it's made me think about physical media and like owning your media again. Because I was like an iPod. I really liked iPods back in the day. I only owned an iPod Shuffle. Which is a heap of shit, and
they were shy, weren't they?
You couldn't, like, it was
tiny.
They were tiny. There was no screen. Like, it just played music, and you had God knows what song would be playing. Like, unless you knew the exact order in which you put your music onto the iPod Shuffle, good luck trying to figure out like what song was next. And so like got the iPod, put my old CDs that I have onto it, and I don't know, man. There is something about having a piece of technology that can only do one thing, and there is no distractions. Like if I'm walking around with the iPod in, and like I'm not looking at my phone. I'm like Melissa, my girlfriend, rang me while I had my iPod in. Couldn't hear it. She rang me twice. Couldn't hear it.
Sorry, babe. I had my iPod in.
She literally texted me, she's like, I'm sure you're off jamming with your iPod, but can you please ring me back? And like, there's no distractions whatsoever. Because you know, you're on your phone or whatever, and you're listening to music, you can be looking at Instagram at the same time.
Yeah.
You can be, doing something else. You can't, like, obviously you can pull out your phone and do that while you're on your iPod. There's nothing stopping you doing that. But like, the device itself has no distractions from its sole purpose, which is to play music. And I don't know, there's something really nice about that. I'm sick of everything. I am sick of everything being a fucking computer.
Being so integrated.
Like, I have a tablet. I'll get rid of it. There is no reason for me to own a tablet.
Yeah, because it's just a phone that can't make phone calls.
Literally, my phone does exactly what the tablet does, just on a bigger screen. And there's no need for it whatsoever.
Yeah, that's what I've never had one because I never really needed one.
It was a pure lockdown purchase, let me tell you.
Yeah.
It's I got this extra money, I'm going to spend it on something.
I definitely considered buying one, just like because I was bored, but I never did in the end.
It's not even good for college or anything like that.
No.
Like, it's just, I don't need it. The Chromebook that I own, heap of shit as a laptop. However, it is very good for typing, like, text documents and stuff like that. It's basically its only use is that. I tried to play a YouTube video on it. The thing nearly blew up.
Yeah.
It couldn't handle rendering a YouTube video, but it's great for writing documents and text and like reading PDFs. It's perfect for that. That's all I need it for, and I love it for that reason.
Yeah. No, that it's because even in my course right now, as I be on business stuff, it's all about integration. Everything has to be integrated. Everything has to be connected. Everything has to be networked. But there's something to be said for everything being separated. Like, especially when there's such a bombardment of information constantly hitting you, like neutrinos every second, like all the time. Yeah, like you listen to your music, you're also, texting people on Instagram, you're also, flicking through the stories or, checking the news and all that stuff. You don't need to be doing it. You weren't made to do all those things at the same time. So yeah, like just having them like separated, having them like segregated in a way that like you can focus on one thing at a time. It definitely, I feel like I definitely appreciated things more, or had more of an aesthetic experience if I was watching, if I watch a movie without looking at, for example, in a cinema. I think a large part of like, even if I'm not watching in IMAX or whatever, it's not like a maximalist huge display. The sound isn't amazing. If you're just sitting there in the cinema, you can't be on your phone, you can't be, checking the news or talking to anybody. You're just watching the film, and it's a way better experience, like 100% of the time, than actually watching something. On YouTube or like at home. Or it's the same with music as well. If you're at a concert and it's a really good concert, then like you're just going to be enjoying the music and the moment, and not like checking everything. It's
all these people on their phones at the concert.
That's the worst thing about it's such a mundane observation, but it is really really true. You're a pioneer there in a technical, like a Luddite, a neo-Luddite, going back.
Don't get me wrong, like I still have Spotify and I still listen to music on my phone.
Okay, you can't access Spotify. Oh,
no, there's no Bluetooth on this thing.
Infrared.
Yeah, like the other like funny aspect of it is that it's making me more conscious of the music, like that I'm listening to, and also like how I get that music. So like on the iPod, I'm like, well, I can't, get what, like, obviously, I can get whatever music I want if I want to go to like, certain sites, whatever. But there's more steps involved in getting the music than I have to put more effort in rather than just being on Spotify and just immediately getting what I want. And it makes music more disposable that way.
The accessibility of Spotify.
The Spotify route.
Yeah.
And like, even it's like, oh, you're listening to this person, well, you might like this as well. And then I'll click onto that. I'm like, well, I don't like that. And now I'm after jumping, and now I have to jump back to where I was in the previous song or whatever. I don't know. It's just something like you get more conscious over the firstly music while you're listening to it, because you're like, I'm not distracted by anything, but also like how you get that music. There's more steps involved, and it makes it less disposable.
Makes you appreciate it more.
Yeah, it's like it's a similar, as you're saying, it's a similar thing as going to the cinema. Like I watched that film. I didn't talk about it on the podcast, but I watched that rom-com, Anyone But You.
Yeah, with
And
Sydney Sweeney and your man.
I like if I watched that at home, I'm like whatever. I would have been on my
Mm.
phone, not caring. So in the cinema, let me tell you, that film is pretty good.
Yeah,
Actually,
yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah,
And because I had nothing else to do but watch the film, and so I got invested in the film. And by the end of the film, when Unwritten starts playing, let me tell you, the vibes were immaculate. But if I just watched that at home on my phone, I probably wouldn't have cared whatsoever.
yeah. Same with books as well.
Yeah.
You know, that's why it's so hard to read books.
Yeah, and audiobooks, I was on
I can't do
audiobooks for a while.
audiobooks. Can't do
I'm
it.
off them because I can't remember fucking anything from the books I listened to.
Yeah, but I'd like if I'm reading a book, there's like I'll get to like if there's a really consequential passage, I'll reread it 3 or 4 times just to process the whole thing. An audiobook, like
You're
I've
not
listened.
gonna go back and listen to someone talk about it.
Yeah,
say it to
yeah.
you.
The only audiobook I've ever listened to, and I didn't get all the way through, was the Alan Partridge autobiography, which is just a funny book.
Yeah.
It just had jokes. It was funny. And so I listened to it because there was like jokes every few minutes, or every few seconds. But like I didn't need to remember anything because I was like, oh, the joke will just explain whatever I need to know.
Yeah.
But like if I actually have to remember, like I'm not gonna fucking listen to Ulysses in audiobook form or whatever book that. Imagine listening to fucking Ulysses in audiobook. How sad. But you don't get the same aesthetic experience, you know?
I do think that like the way, remember we do Ulysses in college?
Yeah.
The way that I read parts of that book, you don't have to read the whole thing, thank God. But was that I would read it, but I would listen to an audiobook at the same time.
Yeah.
And so that way I could
Double
read and like hear, like if it was a word that like I don't know what that word means because you're meant to pronounce it. You're meant to pronounce it phonetically, or it's written phonetically, and I kind of fucking read what this is because I'm not reading it out loud.
Yeah.
And so when they would say it on the audiobook, it's like, oh, so that's what that word means. But that doesn't. If you're just hearing someone say that, that doesn't mean anything because you don't know what has been written.
Yeah.
You don't know why this book is so impressive and how it's written because you're hearing it.
Yeah. You don't see the meaning is lost.
Yeah.
In translation between media. Yeah, no, that's a bit of a shout though. I love the click wheel though. I've always loved that.
Telling you, man, it's so good. The click wheel is great.
This machine has no Wi-Fi, right?
No,
The unlock. I don't remember the unlock button at all.
there's an unlock button. There's menu. There's play. There's fast forward or skip, rewind, skip. That's it.
Music quiz. Games.
Oh yeah,
remember that.
I don't actually remember the music quiz, but when the one's over. Let me also tell you, my dad isn't getting distracted when I'm listening on an iPod. You know, he can get my data here.
Yeah.
Unless
probably not.
Unless maybe it's storing it somewhere and then I plug it into iTunes and then it's extracting it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if they were thinking that far ahead back then, but
Almost certainly.
they definitely were.
Yeah, they definitely were.
Sons of bitches.
They got us. They got us again.
Get me somehow. Speaking about people that got us, I don't know. I was gonna go with the IMAX one, but I'll hold off on that.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Mark, you watched Irish Wish.
It's actually it's bizarrely hard to pronounce for us. Maybe
Irish Wish.
Irish Wish.
Why Irish Wish?
Irish Wish. Yeah, well, it's a bit of a tongue twister. I don't know. Maybe Irish Wish. See, they won't have a problem. Irish Wish. English people, they're grand. Irish Wish. It's hard for us to pronounce, which is a great kind of synecdoche of this film, because this has nothing to do with Ireland. Irish Wish. It's about Lindsay Lohan, and
she's ginger. She might as well be Irish.
She is. I think she's like half Irish or something.
Does like
and
all
she
of
fucked
America.
Colin Farrell, so like she's kind of Irish.
Yeah, you know.
That was like a thing. Yeah, Lindsay Lohan. She's the main character. This is the classic fish out of water. American broad in Ireland, kind of thing. She goes off on holidays with her, her gal pals, and they come to Ireland, and they're mad fans of this author. Like he's like one of those, like you walk into an airport and you pick up his book, one of those kind of authors.
Mm-hmm.
He writes romance novels. His name is Paul Kennedy. He's Irish. He's an Irish man with an Irish brogue. It's not like that at all. It's kind of like softer. kind of like, I don't even know. It's a very refined Irish accent, but I don't know if he's putting it on or not. I don't know if he's actually Irish, the actor.
I doubt it.
I doubt it, because the thing about this film is it's set in Ireland, entirely set in Ireland. It's about Irish folklore, basically, mixed in with obviously rom-com kind of themes, but there's not a single authentic Irish accent, or I'm not even sure Irish person in this entire film.
God bless, that's great.
Like, this was definitely funded by the tourism board as well, because it has like, meaningless 10-second shots of like the landscape and stuff. Oh, actually, no. There's a pub landlord who is Irish, who serves like pints of Guinness, terrible pints of Guinness, by the way.
There we go.
Which are like, the heads like huge, which is quality control there. I'm not sure what they're doing on set. It's not very authentic depiction of Irish culture.
On Paddy's Day weekend, I don't know.
On Paddy's Day of all times, this is when I watched the Irish Wish. So it kind of reminds me of the film called Leap Year. A lot of people won't remember it. But it was a film about the Irish myth that if you get married on leap year, you will get divorced or something like that. I don't know. Or no, sorry. If you're proposing, leap year is the only day that a woman can propose to a man, and he kind of has to say yes, I suppose.
Have to say yes.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, that film was fucking terrible. It was bad in like a really boring way. Irish Wish is bad in like a funny. Quite a funny, charming way. It's not a good movie by any means, but it's kind of funny, just based on how bad it is. Because Lindsay Lohan, she goes to a book signing for this guy Paul Kennedy, and she's head over heels with him, but he wants nothing to do with her. Of course, she's like an editor. He asks her to work on her book. He ends up falling in love with one of her friends, Emma, who is like, she's like an Asian American woman, but she has like the most bizarre accent. I'm not sure if she's like. It's like Australian British, but she's from New York. I don't know, but anyway, the accents are just all over the place. And then her third friend just has like the most, like it's like an American accent that's being put on. It's just so obnoxious. But yeah, anyway, Paul is getting with Emma, and they're getting married, and Lindsay Lohan's very, very jealous. It skips forward 3 months, and they're at the wedding. There's like already a wedding. They're flying into Ireland for the wedding, flying into Knock Airport of all places, for some reason.
That's not.
Yeah, and there's no infrastructure out in Knock. I would probably believe that as well. So she has to get a taxi.
Wait, sorry, they're flying in straight from America into Knock Airport.
Into Knock Airport, yeah.
That's how that works, isn't it?
Yeah, probably an Air Force One or something. There's no other way you could get to Knock Airport from like JFK. And yeah, so she has this whole thing where there's a mix up in the baggage area, and she meets this English guy, Ed Spaliers. Remember Ed Spaliers? Aragon. Do you remember Aragon? Yeah, it's the guy from Aragon.
No way. What's he been up to?
He's been up to a lot, because I know he's been in other things as well. But he's like he's just like this smug English guy who is a wildlife photographer who's in Ireland to take pictures of a sheep shearing competition.
Great.
And it's like if this was in a different setting, it's like be an extremely racist film, just because all the amount of, it's just like stereotype after stereotype, and there's no actual Irish people in the film. It's very strange. But yeah, she has this weird kind of thing with him, but she really wants to get with Paul. She stumbles across basically her whole life is falling into pieces, and she's really sad about the wedding and stuff. She meets a fairy at a wishing chair out in Knock, where she's going for a walk, and the fairy grants her a wish, and her wish is, I want to marry Paul Kennedy. And then it's kind of like that film Past Lives, which I think one of our friends talked about. It changed his life. But her life then diverges into a completely different parallel universe, where she actually ends up marrying Paul Kennedy, and she's switched places with Emma. Emma is now the spurned kind of lover, and
damn, Lindsay Lohan, what are you doing?
Yeah, she is taking the man. She's taking Paul Kennedy, and then the rest of the film is just these. It's a comic romp, tour de force, where everyone's just kind of having fun. It's all these silly kind of the romantic mismatch between Paul and Lindsay Lohan. And eventually she comes to realize that she didn't want Paul. Paul wasn't what would make her whole. And what she wanted was career satisfaction as an editor and a nice English man to settle down with. And there's this whole kind of, it's her learning journey where she comes to know these things. And there's like a kind of a wild goose chase. It turns out the fairy is Saint Bridget herself.
Oh yeah, Saint Bridget, very famous for granting wishes.
And yeah, it's just a bit silly. It's just a bit
Is
silly.
there a bit in this movie where like she wakes up and like he's there and she's like, wait, what's going on?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. There's a bit where they're going to bed together, and he like puts his arm around her, and she like turns around and like slaps him, but she slaps him in the balls. But this puts him out of action for like days. Like she must have like just like sacked him completely, like walloped this guy in the nuts, because he's like bedridden for days afterwards. This is what gives.
That's what happens.
And this is what gives. What's his name? Ed or something. The English guy. His opportunity to swoop in. And Ed and Lindsay go off on this kind of like wild goose chase, looking for like the best scene for the post wedding photograph, out in like Connemara and things like that. And then they get stranded, of course, conveniently when they're on their way back. A tree falls on the road. They go to the nearest pub, and the landlord's like, "Well, you won't be getting back into town till tomorrow." So there's like you can't just find a taxi. You can't just there's no other roads.
Nope, that's
There's
it.
not.
You're in the West. There's nothing.
There's no other way to get back to town. It's like her wedding is tomorrow. It's like surely. So they have to stay in the pub, and it's like
Romance ensues.
Romance ensues. A lot of sparks are flying, and it's a silly movie. It's pretty shit, but I watched it, so I might as well talk about it. I thought it was funny.
Is it offensive to Irish?
No, it's not offensive. It's just a bit stupid. Like it's an American. It's a really sheltered, rich American's idea of what Ireland might be, which is also what people on the tourism board think Ireland is as well, probably. But that's where all the money is. It's like, American people come over here like, oh, I want to see all this, and then obviously nothing is like that. Like they couldn't do this in Dublin.
Oh God, no! Get their head kicked in.
It's like where, yeah, like it just wouldn't work. Like Paul is like, or what's his name? Not Paul. The English guy is like really suspicious. Like the entire time, he's just very strange character. Just this English guy roaming the countryside on his own. But he's friends with every Irish person.
Colonial about that.
Yeah, he's friends with every single Irish person he walks past. Which may be editorial decision on the part of the tourism board. Like, the troubles are over.
Oh yeah, we get along with the Brits.
Yeah. But I don't know. It's like surely there'd be a bit more suspicion there. It's all right. Yeah, it's all right. It's just shy.
Talking about disposable media.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This so disposable. It was good bit of fun to watch. Like it's funny to laugh at that kind of way.
Yeah.
Like it's not offensive. It's not so bad that it's boring, which is the worst thing that a movie can be.
That is the worst kind of bad.
It's the worst thing it can be.
Like
this film is funny, at least.
At least, like, if you're gonna be bad, be entertainingly bad, but also don't be aware. Don't be aware that you're being bad.
Yeah. Don't be hamming it up. This film is trying to earnestly appeal to a demographic, which
like 40s American moms,
literally people that I've never met,
whose great granddad was Irish.
Yeah. Or you like 30s American women. Like I just don't know who the target audience is for this film, but it's a weird kind of insight into that universe, whatever that universe is.
Yeah,
like So I just thought it's a fun little oddity, though it is dog shit, and it's an embarrassment to this country. It's a stain on the national heritage, maybe like 30, 40 years ago, if this film came out, it would be offensive, because like we're in the shit, and they're there making fucking movies about Lindsay Lohan chasing Saint Bridget around like it's fucking Benny Hill. But like now it's like whatever, It's like we're alright.
What's the most offensive depiction of Ireland that you've seen in a film?
Offensive depiction of Ireland?
Yeah. Or like what's an Irish accent that you're like, what the fuck is this?
Wild Mountain Thyme. Remember we couldn't really talk about that at the time, but that was very bizarre because Jamie Dornan is Irish, but he didn't have an Irish accent in that film, even though his character was Irish.
Yeah, I forgot about that movie.
Yeah, everyone did. It came up in the pub when I was talking about Irish Wish.
Yeah,
or Irish Wish.
I completely forgot about that film. I'm trying to think of, like, offensively bad or like just like
Leprechaun.
I remember getting really excited. Oh, The Simpsons are going to Dublin, and then watching that episode, I'm like, oh my god, I hate this.
I don't remember that, but just the idea.
Yeah,
that's New Simpsons.
Yeah, it's modern New Simpsons in Ireland. It's like, this is shite.
Yeah, I've never seen it now, but is it The Fugitive or The Patriot Games or something where it's like a CIA guy chasing after an IRA? It's like Harrison Ford chasing after guys in the IRA.
I think it's
The Fugitive. Yeah, it's the one where it's like it's parodied in The Simpsons where Milhouse is standing at the end of the sewage pipe, and your man's like,
Is that the one? Is
yeah,
that it? Oh my
and
god!
it's like it wasn't. I didn't do anything. I don't care, and he jumps off.
I didn't know that was. I didn't know that was the future. Like I've heard of this movie.
Yeah,
I know what The Fugitive is. I didn't
apparently
know
it's very offensive.
I didn't know that The Fugitive was that movie. That's mad.
Yeah, Harrison Ford is the guy with the gun,
That's hilarious.
I think. But apparently the depiction there is very insensitive.
I'd imagine so. I'd imagine like just depicting Ireland and just synonymizing.
Yeah, with the ra.
Synonymizing, is that a word? Making synonymous.
It is, yeah.
Synonymizing.
Synonymizing.
That with terrorism and violence is probably not a good idea.
Yeah, especially when they lose at the end.
Yeah, they're very much they gotta win.
Yeah,
And they have to be right.
yeah. Yeah.
You can't. If any depiction of a Irish villain, offensive to me.
That film was a bloody joke.
Is Gangs of New York, was that? No, it wasn't offensive.
Nah, it
There's
wasn't
bad
really.
accents, but it wasn't offensive.
Yeah.
What's that really famous? Is it Brad Pitt or Tom Cruise?
The one where it's like Far Away from Home or something like that.
I think you're talking about
Tom Cruise one where he has like the buck teeth and he's like he's got the paddy cap on.
It's Far Away from Home, not the Aussie soap opera.
Oh, it's Home Away.
Home Away. Maybe it's
It's
Far
like-
Away from Home. Or is it Spider-Man Far Away from Home?
Yeah, let's go.
It doesn't
Not gonna check.
matter. That one I did like.
Far Away or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fuck, it's called that.
Oh, we're going to far
Yeah.
away. It's where me
Oh,
and Ronnie was
we're
born.
gonna go plough the fields.
Gonna go dig some
And
peat.
old Johnny was down there.
Oh, he dies and something to the peat bog.
It's funny because like my course is filled with people that aren't Irish or whatever, and they were blown away by the fact that. Also, sorry, before we continue on, shout out to Cillian Murphy.
Oh yeah, he won. Yeah,
He
didn't
won. But they were blown away by the fact that it was like, like celebrities come to Ireland because we don't really like give a fuck.
he? Yeah.
At least like I feel like we might now
a bit more so
because
yeah.
we're more Americanized.
Yeah.
But like, they were blown away when it was something like, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West went on honeymoon to like. Where did they go on honeymoon? Somewhere down in Cork. I can't remember where it was. They were blown away by that, and they were also blown away by the fact that I said, "Yeah, I've seen Cillian Murphy, and he was to get on an Aer Lingus flight, like economy class." And like, what economy class? And I was like, "Well, I mean, Aer Lingus only does economy, so like,
yeah.
there's no first class."
Yeah. I keep seeing Donald Gleason in town.
Really?
Yeah. I've seen him. Well, I've seen him twice. Very tall man.
Very tall.
A lot
man.
taller than you think.
Mm.
Very deadly pale, considering how much time he spent in America. But he just looks like a normal guy, except for the fact he's quite tall. But like he just rambles around Dawson Street and like this outside.
That's gas.
He goes to, he's like a jump zone.
Mm-hmm.
He goes to the jump zone in Sandyford quite regularly. Like people I used to work with see him there. He just jumps around in his spare time because he doesn't have a job really. Like.
Fair enough. Like, I mean, if I had endless free time, I would also just go to Gym Zone all the time, just jump around.
He just jumps around. Well, you get a membership. You can afford the membership. It's like €80 a month. It's ridiculously expensive.
Yeah, it means nothing to him.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. Yeah.
He was in Star Wars. Like, it means nothing to him.
Yeah.
Speaking about past lives, because I'm going to touch on it briefly.
Yes, of course.
I watched Past Lives. This is it A24?
Yeah, I think it is. Or
I'm-
co-production or something.
I'm
Or
gonna
their
go-
distribution.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and say A24 film. It is a. Are they Korean? Oh fuck, where are they from? Are they Korean?
It's Korea. Graham says Korean.
Okay, grand. Thank fuck.
'Cause
Okay,
he has a Korean girlfriend.
okay, right. So it is a Korean American film where boy and girl, they're growing up together. They're like kind of bickering, whatever, but they're really good friends. Girl moves to Canada when she's young, and then they rekindle their friendship when they're older, and then they stop being. That ends because she wants to focus on her career, and then they meet up again years later. And as the title suggests, Past Lives, it is about you know, what if in another life? That is basically the theme, I guess, or the
Premise.
premise of like, what if in another life, like maybe in another life, we could have been, and it's really effective. It's really well acted, really well shot, really well written. You know, the chemistry between the two characters works really well, and what I really like about this film is that there's no bad guy. Like, she ends up falling, like, for full spoilers, we're just gonna spoil this film.
Put all.
It was out last year. It's on Netflix. Go watch it. You know, it's like minor spoilers, but like, I mean, again, like, it's the whole premise is like maybe in another life.
Mm-hmm.
She falls in love with an American man, and there is a conversation that the two of them have, and like, it's a little bit cringy, but I'm glad they have it in the movie, because he basically says, like, not as bluntly as this, well, kind of as bluntly as this, he basically says, if this was a movie, I would be the evil American that would be pulling you away from your Korean lover. And she's like, that's really funny. No, like, I love you. And she does love him. She loves her husband. But she also has a connection with someone, like a deep-rooted connection from her past, that also does tie her to her Korean identity. And, you know, she hasn't lived in Korea for ages. You know, there's this whole, like, diaspora kind of identity thing going on. But she loves her husband. And she probably actually wouldn't work with this man, because this version of her doesn't work with this version of him. Maybe if she stayed in Korea and she was a different version of her, they would work, but that's a different life. And that's basically what the whole film is about. And it's really affecting. It's really moving. I don't really know if the idea hits with me. Like, it's the film Sliding Doors. Sliding Doors also has this plot premise. But I think, like, for me, like, films like Eternal Sunshine of a Spotless Mind works. Like, it's not the same thing at all, but the idea of that, like, Richard, like, the idea behind Eternal Sunshine is it better to live a heartache and have the memories than never experience the memories, than never experience the heartbreak and never have the memories. Works a lot more than being like, oh, maybe we could have been together in another life. I've never had that thought or that want in my life, outside of maybe in a different life I could have been a baker.
A baker?
I don't know, I just throw it out there. Maybe Baker Owen is having his best life making bread. I don't know.
Baker Owen. Do you ever think about where your life might have split off in a different direction?
Yeah, like, I'm certain there's like certain moments in my life where I'm like, if I did something different here, let me tell you, Mark, if what I studied for the history exam in the Leaving Cert came up, my life would be very different.
Really?
I wouldn't be doing this fucking mask because I would have done media production in the first place.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? What happened?
I studied certain things on the Leaving Cert paper, and they did not come up, and I had to waffle my way through what would have been my best subject. I had to waffle.
Yeah, you were really good at history.
I had to waffle my way through two of the questions. Still ended up with a B. But
you do way better than me. I thought I was good at history. I got like a C1, C2 or something like that.
No, I got a B. I was expecting like a B1 at the bare minimum. I think I think I got a B3.
You were one of the best students in the class, though.
Let me tell you,
you were tops. You were way ahead of everyone else.
Oh man, if what I studied came up, if what I studied came up, we wouldn't be doing this podcast.
That is weird, isn't it?
Yeah,
that is a very
because I wouldn't have done the course, and thus we wouldn't be mates.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like if I chose to focus on other subjects, this podcast wouldn't happen.
That is very strange, isn't it?
You know what I mean? It's like,
what a terrible universe that would be.
That's a dark time.
Yeah. Thank God.
In fact, my entire life would have been like literally like that's like what you could do in college. Like my entire life would be different.
What did you want to do media production?
Yeah, I
Or
want to do
what is it?
multimedia,
Multimedia.
but I
Yeah.
didn't get enough points.
Really?
But if what I studied if I chose different topics,
Mm-hmm.
I would have gotten enough points, and I wouldn't have done a different course. Like that's just like off the bat that one.
Yeah.
Shit like that. Like there's always moments in your life where like, oh, a decision must be made, and it will have changes on your life. Like I can't think of another one. That's just the one that came into my head. But anyway, that's an example. You know what I mean? What about you? Where's a moment in your life that you can see?
A moment that I could see. Leaving cert is pretty an easy one, isn't it? As well. When I did CAO was due at 12. I still made up my mind, and remember you had to do it online. We had seminars online. I had a breeze all I wanted to do, but I knew I wanted to do something to do with like I wanted to do history and English, so I put that number one. But it was in Trinity. Wasn't sure if I was going to get it, and then I think it was history and French maybe, and that was I'm going to go for that, and I thought I was going to get the points for that. I thought I was like doing the maths. I was like I'll probably get the points for that, or I'll aim to do it anyway. And then the third choice was like, oh, it's like 50-50 if this is the one that I do, like the third choice. And that was between, I was thinking business just because I was like, oh, you know, just everyone just does business if they don't know what they're going to do. And then the one after that, I actually don't remember what it was, but it was just some random course. It was something to do with arts. And I think it was in DCU, but it wasn't the course that I ended up doing. And then I ended up failing by 40 points to get the course that I wanted. And
same.
40 points, yeah. It went up 40 points. I got the points that would have got me in the previous year, but it just skipped up 40 points. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake.
Actually, no, yeah. I actually don't think it would have made a difference if those topics came up. I don't think I would have got. I think it was 4.
It's a fun thought experiment,
anyway,
though.
Yeah,
it's a fun.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah. But like, there's no way I was going to get into the course that I wanted. Like, no matter what I did, basically, even if I'd aced the history. But I ended up getting business. I remember rolling over in the morning on like whatever the 1st September or whatever it was. And I was like, I just seen the email saying, "Oh, congratulations!" I was like, "For fuck's sake,
congratulations, new business student!" Like, fuck.
But if I hadn't got that, if I hadn't fucked that up completely, I wouldn't have been in DCU doing what I did, and I wouldn't have become so like annoyed with it so quickly, and then I wouldn't have transferred into the course that we ended up doing.
Yeah.
And then this wouldn't have happened either. I would have ended up doing God knows what.
Yeah.
There was also I was offered a job in civil service around the same time as well, and I was thinking about taking that. I did an interview, and I passed all the checks and stuff, and they offered me the job. I was thinking about doing it, but I just decided not to do it. If I'd taken that, I would my life would have been fucked.
Yeah, who fucking
I would have been,
knows what you would have done like that?
I would have been ruined. But I kind of knew that at the time. I was like, I can't do this.
Yeah.
Like, it's way too early to do this. So I just,
it's straight into the civil service after
no,
school.
Yeah, I couldn't have done that. I knew it as well. But like that would have been, God knows what would have happened at that timeline. Yeah, that would have been a very dark
that's
timeline.
The darkest timeline.
yeah. For me, that is. But this is a great timeline to be in.
It's a pretty decent one.
It's pretty good. It's pretty good.
You know, everything around us burning down, but our lives are. You know,
we're keeping it under control in this little pod.
Maintaining.
Yeah. That's it. Keeping all groomed.
Is Teen Wolf maintaining?
Teen Wolf. Have you ever seen Teen Wolf?
Is this the Michael B. Jordan? No, Michael J. Fox?
Yes.
Wrong letter, and then I fucked up.
I forgot his name too. I was like, Michael McFly?
Marty
McFly. This is Marty McFly and Teen Wolf. This is the year after Back to the Future. This is when he was at his peak. His star was at its peak. It's crescent. And this is Teen Wolf. Remember there was a TV series, MTV TV series, Teen Wolf.
I forgot that Teen Wolf was a movie.
Yeah.
So
most people do.
You watched the MTV TV show? What the fuck?
No. I watched the movie from 1985. And yeah, this is just a Michael J. Fox star vehicle that I don't know. They pretty just took him and told a writer, here, make a movie about him.
Yeah.
Make a movie where he is the star, where he's like the relatable kind of
it doesn't matter what happens.
Yeah, clumsy high school guy. I remember I saw this when I was like 10 or something. My parents liked it. I think they were like 18 when it came out. And
the guy's dick at the end?
Huh?
You ever seen that? The guy's dick at the end?
No.
I think it's an urban myth. I don't think it's real, but you know at the end where like everyone runs onto the basketball court? Apparently there's a dude with his dick out in that scene.
Is there? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
It's like, where's Wally?
Yeah, it's like he's just in the crowd. I think it's an urban legend though. I don't think it's actually real, but
Yeah, I didn't see that now. But no, I saw it when I was like 10. And I really liked it. I remember really liking it, but I couldn't. It's very difficult to find. Like, it's not on anything. It's not on Netflix Prime.
Physical
Never has
media,
been.
I'm telling you.
Yeah. We never had it on VHS or anything. It was just it'd be on TV from time to time, and I'd stick it on. It was very cool. It was the first time. It's probably one of the first sex scenes I ever seen. It wasn't even a sex scene. Turns out this is the first time I watched it there this week. First time I've seen it in like 15 years. I remember like it being a full sex scene and being like, you know. I remember watching it with the family, and you know when you start manually breathing, and it gets really like you get really nervous.
Oh, no.
You're like, oh my god.
We're gonna be talking that later on about Watchmen, but anyway.
Yeah. And I just remember being like, oh my god, this is so weird. There's not even any nudity in it. Turns out it's just like she just takes off her shirt and she has a bra on. And,
hot stuff.
Yeah, well, it was at the time. Back in the day, it was.
I tell you.
But no, it's a very strange film. Looking back on it. So I watched it, and I watched the full thing, and I have to say, it's one of the rare occasions where you think a film is good in the past, and you watch it again, and usually you're like, whatever. This film, I was like, this is actually exactly what I remember it was.
Oh,
like, this
good.
This is actually exactly, like, it's nothing incredible. It's not, not life-changing. It's not a very good movie, but this is exactly what I remember it being. It's a very entertaining film. Great soundtrack. It's kind of funny. He's the lovable kind of everyman, high school kind of outcast, semi-outcast. He's just trying to get his way in the world. Like it's just spot on. In a similar way, like to the way like Back to the Future would be. Like it's not the greatest film ever made, but it's just spot on the entire way through. This film is nowhere near as good as Back to the Future. Like not by any means, but it is like it's a pretty good movie. But it's also a very, very bizarre movie in that it's so formulaic that it's like it's not even funny. Like it's called Teen Wolf. It's about a kid, or it's not kid. He's like 16, 17.
He's a teen.
He's a teen, yeah, and he's a teen wolf. But he finds out obviously it's a puberty metaphor, where his body starts changing. He's a bit of an outcast. He's pining after like the most popular girl in school. She wants nothing to do with him. He's on the basketball team. They're fucking shy. Don't know why he's on the basketball team. He's like 5'5". There's like no one else. Everyone else is like double his height.
This is the best we got.
Yeah. It's just he's just so out of place on the basketball team. But yeah, the basketball team are terrible. Everything's a bit shit for him. He works at the hardware store with his dad. His mom's not around, whatever. And then all of a sudden he starts growing hair in strange places, like on his hands and stuff like that. And it turns out he's a werewolf, and he just turns into a werewolf when he gets stressed. And he's obviously very confused by it, very disturbed by it. And there's some cool like proto body horror in the film, where he's like just starts turning in the middle of class, and he'll run away, and just like these shots of like a long hallway.
That's very stressful. And
him like running down, and like people walking past him, and he's just like Michael J. Fox is just so good.
Michael J. Fox is a great actor.
He's an amazing actor. Like, he's so good at what he does, or what he did. Like back around that time, he was just bang on at everything. Very charismatic guy, but a really good actor as well. Like really plays it off.
Not to bring it down, but when did he start to get? He's got Parkinson's, isn't he?
I think it was in the 90s, quite early in his life.
Yeah, because I was to say like
he would have been huge if that hadn't happened.
Yeah, like not to.
Yeah, he is huge, but
like not to say like he fell off, but like he was obviously stopped being in movies for obviously very valid reasons.
Yeah.
And I was wondering like when did that happen, because like 80s he's
top of his game,
and then he's just not really in anything for obvious reasons.
Yeah, I think it was the 90s. It was like he was in his 30s or like mid 30s, and it happened very early in his life. But like he'd be like the Arnie. He'd still be in like every like 3 or 4 films, big films a year.
Yeah, I don't think
if he hadn't had that.
I think like who would he have been like?
Like an Eddie Murphy kind of thing, probably. Actually,
I really hope not like an Eddie Murphy. Eddie Murphy's a dickhead.
Well, like as in terms of
No, I'm trying to think.
bubbling along constantly.
I feel like he would have been more esteemed. I feel like he would have been like an actor.
He could have been, yeah. Well, he definitely had more range than someone like Eddie Murphy or Schwarzenegger.
Yeah,
like he was like you see him Back to the Future. You even see it in Teen Wolf. Like he's a really good actor.
Yeah, I'm sure, like I'd say Tom Cruise, but like Tom Cruise like later. Like we're not there yet with Tom Cruise.
Yeah,
But like Tom Cruise, I don't know if Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise a good actor. I don't really
Oh man, yeah, of course.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like
He just kind of plays himself.
yeah, he just plays himself at the moment. Like he's an action star at the moment. So I'm like waiting for him to get slightly older and to be like, you know, an Anthony Hopkins or something like
Man,
that.
he's 60 years old.
You know what I mean, though. He hasn't.
Yeah,
He's
yeah.
still an action star.
He's still Tom Cruise from
Yeah.
the 90s. Yeah. I don't know what
I
would
don't know
happen.
why I asked is Tom Cruise a good actor. Like obviously, he fucking
He's
is.
a-
Have you seen Tropic Thunder?
He's a great, yeah, fucking hell, that's actually but no, he could have been anything really. Like he's a great dramatic actor. He could have gone into more complicated territory. I'm not sure he would have, just because it's everything he did is very, very comic. But he could have made some kind of left turn. It's unfortunate what happened. But he's still in stuff every now and then. And he still kind of pulls it off. Just doesn't have the same swagger or whatever. But the funny thing about Teen Wolf is the fact that he's a werewolf. Like he's turning into a werewolf. They have like these, you know, kind of body horror-esque scenes. But also combined with like this stupid 80s humor, which is just funny by how stupid it is, you know? So like when he's like turning in school, he manages to control it, and the principal's on his case because the principal doesn't like him for whatever reason, because he's like everyone's kind of against him. That's his role, that's his archetype. He gets home and he's in the toilet and he's like, oh, he's just sweating and he's like, you know, he's becoming a man or whatever. His dad knocks on the door. He's like, let me in. What the fuck's his name? I can't remember his name.
Marty,
yeah, let me in, Marty, whatever his name is. He's like, let me in. What's going on? Like, his dad's sound. He's like, I'm really concerned. And he's like, go away, Dad. I don't want. I'm cleaning up or I'm shaving or whatever. And then when he opens the door, eventually he opens the door and his dad is just there, like fully decked out in his werewolf gear. Like his dad's a werewolf. Like because in the show, in the MTV show, they get bitten and then they become werewolves. They all become werewolves, like the whole team. It's like a very different thing from what I'm told. But in the movie, his dad is just a werewolf, and he's like this really like puffy kind of like Bichon Frise werewolf, and he's just like this like lovable lumberjack werewolf. It's very weird. And yeah, he opens the door and his dad's just there like fully puffed out, and he's like, I've always wanted to have this conversation with you, son, but I hope I never have to do it. He's like, I hope they would have skipped a generation. It's a funny dynamic. Just that weird, it's a very 80s combination of like mild horror and stupid family comedy. But the thing about him being a werewolf is it has nothing to do with the plot whatsoever. Like it doesn't come into the plot at all.
I love that.
Him being a werewolf is just like it's just like a plot device to explain how good he becomes at basketball. That's all it is. It has nothing to do, like, he doesn't go off, he doesn't have an urge to kill. He's not influenced by the moon.
There's no moral dilemma.
There's no moral dilemma at all. Like, it's not like an American Werewolf in London where he's like, he's horrible, like, the painful, you think the obvious puberty metaphor where he's going through these painful changes and he's very confused about what he wants to do. No, like, he turns into a werewolf, and when this happens, he turns into like a star basketball player, and it's just half the film from the point where he realizes he's a werewolf. Half the film is just him on the basketball court, like laying up alley oops and like and sinking trees from like ridiculous distances, but like fully decked out as a werewolf, and everyone just like plays. It's like, this is great. It's like, is there no other attention here? The fact that what's happening here? All the other schools coming and playing against.
This isn't fucking fair.
Against like a creature that doesn't seem to be human. And this
is a very hairy boy.
A very hairy boy. Yeah, he's growing. He's a growing boy.
He's a growing boy.
And like the team becomes really, really good. They start winning every game. But his teammates begin to resent him because he's always hogging the ball because he's too good, and he gets too popular in school because everyone's like, oh, he's the star basketball player.
Who he used to be.
He forgets. That's all. Like the whole film could literally just be about him, where like
he just has superpowers.
Yeah, it could just be about he takes a pill and he becomes really good at basketball, and just remove the werewolf stuff, and it's the exact same film. It's just about him being really good at basketball because he's a werewolf, and he has like this childhood best friend, Boof is her name. And she's like,
what a fucking name!
I know, yeah, Boof. And she's pining for him. She's always had a crush on him, but he's only has sights for the popular girl. Popular girl suddenly is paying attention to him now. He's a star basketball player, even though he's a hairy bastard. He can also breakdance and stuff. Like there's like montages of him with like banging music, like
Man,
80s synth music, where he's like breakdancing with the other kids in the hallways of the
80s music
school.
is the fucking best. 80 movies are the best.
Yeah, what I love about the way it's done in this film as well is, you know, the way nowadays you get a montage and you'll get like the chorus of a song and then the montage be over. In this movie, the entire song is like 3-4 minutes is played out, and it's just him like breakdancing or like running around or like running on the walls and stuff and like sinking trees and the entire time fucking Rick Astley is playing in the background. It happens 4 or 5 times in the film.
It's amazing.
It's constant. But it's a funny film. Obviously, it all comes to a resolution at the end, like the usual kind of thing.
Yeah,
where
you know what happens.
He realized he doesn't need to be the wolf. He just be himself. But it's a funny, fun film. It's kind of like it kind of reminded me of Ferris Bueller's Day Off, just the kind of the way the cartoonish comedy elements, but randomly as if Ferris Bueller was like a vampire or something like that.
Yeah.
Just for some reason, it's just a funny film. It's a funny little film.
Ferris Bueller in so long.
Ferris Bueller's good. Still holds up.
Still holds up. Twist and shout. It's a great scene.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we go for a break.
Yes.
Mark, I got 2 words for you. Big worms.
Big ass worms wriggling in the sand.
Amy jocks. Anyway,
Stop.
we have seen Dune Part 2. Now, it has been long enough. This film has been out a while. Full
it has, yeah.
full spoilers.
You know what? Fuck you, listener. We're just gonna spoil this.
Yeah, if you haven't seen it, what are you doing?
Yeah. Honestly,
Biggest movie of the year. What are you
it
doing?
really is. You know, and it will be
In February.
in the February. Yeah, Dune Part 2. Whoa. I've been looking forward to this for 2 years.
You
2
are
long years.
the biggest Dune 1 fan I know.
I loved Dune 1. I saw it 3 times.
3 times.
I saw it 3 times. I thought it was great. I loved it. I loved
It is
the
really good.
scale. I loved. I watching Dune 2. Maybe I realized that there's certain things that I liked about Dune 1 which aren't actually in the film. You know, but I love Dune 1.
Bit of a True Detective.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah.
Kind of like that. Yeah,
Yeah.
I like the fan fiction, maybe.
Yeah, I like the concept in my head more so than what's going on.
Yeah. But I love Dune. I love the scale of it. I love the kind of the mythical, you know, important. Like the film is so important and serious about itself. And I'm always partial to that. Like a lot of people don't like that. I always like a film, where like if it can pull it off, where it's like this is what's happening right now is so serious and so important, and you need to take it really seriously, even though you're sitting there with your fucking hands down your jocks, you know, eating your Manhattan popcorn. You know, it's like this is so serious. Like the world might end if you don't take this seriously. I love films like that. I think it's really cool. And Dune 1 is all about that. I love the mythical aspect. I just really liked it. I've been looking forward to Dune Part 2 for 2 years, and I was devastated to hear that it had been delayed in November.
Yeah,
because the writer's strike, and I was really devastated about that because I was just looking forward to it so much, and eventually came out start of this month.
Yeah,
I think 1st of March it came out.
Which is, yeah, what are we talking about? February. This is a March movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Forget what month we're in. Jesus.
There's the 1st of March it came out, and it was painful because I never go to see a film in the first week of release ever. Never, because there's always the risk that other people might be there.
It is the worst thing about going to the cinema.
It really is. I just don't like other people being there. But I end up going to go see Dune Part 2. Last week I saw an iSense, which I've never been to before, in East Wall. It's pretty cool. Picture isn't as good as IMAX. I prefer IMAX, I have to say that. Sound was great in iSense. Picture,
it's whatever. It's a bigger screen.
It's maybe a time and a half bigger than a normal screen. It's not that big. I didn't really like that, but whatever. And it's 20 quid for a fucking premium seat. All I had was a fucking headrest on the top. How is that premium? Why am I paying €2 extra for that?
Man, I hate the iSense fucking screen because it's not even half, it's like fucking 3/4. The seats that you never want to sit in are the standard seats. And the seats you actually want to sit in, which is the majority of that screen, is premium.
Yeah, it's like over half. It's not premium if over half the seats are premium.
Yeah, no, yeah.
How is that premium? That's just like most of the cinema. But I pay for.
At least with IMAX, everyone has to pay the same rate, even if you're sitting at the very front and you can't see shit.
Also, the seats in IMAX Cineworld are like way comfier. Like they just are. I'd say. Well, that's
no,
my popular opinion.
No, it is when you're sitting further back. I got to see Dune twice, and I had to sit. I was watching it in iSense, and I also saw it in IMAX.
You've more recent experience.
Fucking tell you, I was way too close, and my neck was fucking killing me.
Yeah, true. But that's the nature of the beast with IMAX. But when I saw an iSense, this is the most ridiculous thing. I saw an iSense, and I'd never been there before, and I bought tickets. You know, when you first come in, it's like the literally like right beside the door, like in the middle of that aisle, the premium, the first row of the premium section. Sitting down, and I was like, it was quite busy. Like literally half an hour to the film, people were still walking in. I was like, I'm late to stuff a lot. But what the fuck are you doing? There was 20 minutes of ads. Like it's nearly 9 o'clock. This film started like technically at 8 o'clock. What are you doing walking in now?
Fuck are you? Yeah.
I know this is a long movie, but what the hell are you doing? But I'm always nervous about a busy film. I was like, anyone can ruin this for me. You know, anyone can ruin this for me. I end up sitting next to the only guy in the cinema who was fucking strange. Like the only weird character, ghoul, who was in the entire theater. Jack Manning was there. No, it wasn't him. But it was, he was though. But it was just, we came in and there was this guy sitting right next. So like I was sitting here, Orla was sitting to my right. And then on the other side, there's like this guy and two of his friends. And this guy is like he's like, you know, ever see Harry and the Hendersons?
No.
He's like Bigfoot. He's like big. He's like 7 feet tall. He's like covered in hair. He's like, I don't know. He just sounds weird as well. He's got a weird voice. And he's sitting there. And I was like, whatever. It's just this weird character. And film starts. And literally, like, we're 20 minutes into the film. This guy's had 3 cans of beer. And he's been up to the jacks 4 times. I was like, passing by me the entire time. Like each time you went to the toilet, I was like, "What the fuck is wrong with this guy?" Like this, and what are the odds of this happening to me? You know, like this is
your movie.
It's fucking it up for me. This guy had 7 cans of beer in over the course of an hour and a half because he fell asleep at one point. He just like, what are you doing having 7 cans of beer at 8 o'clock in iSense watching Dune Part 2? And his mates, he kept like moving back and forth and like looking around and stuff. And then, I don't know, he's just like this really dodgy character. He went to the toilet like 5-6 times. It was in the first hour. Then he settled down. But every time he opened a can, he'd like turn it towards Orla and just like spray it. Like he's trying to be discreet, but it ended up just kind of spraying her. Like if I was in that seat, I would have been like, fuck this guy. No. But like, he was actually sound enough. He was just really annoying what he was doing. He wasn't noisy or anything. He was just, for the first hour...
He was just an idiot.
For the first hour, he was just an ape. He was so irritating. So irritating. But anyway.
Dune 2.
Sorry, sidetrack. This Bigfoot character.
Okay,
anyway.
so before we get on to Dune 2, I rewatched Dune 1. Haven't seen it since I saw it in cinema 2021?
You're right, that's a 2021 film.
Yeah.
It's been nearly 3 years.
I liked Dune when I watched it the first time. On rewatch, I wish there was less shots of Zendaya, like in a Calvin Klein ad, but in Dune gear.
Yep.
Wish there was less of that. And think that the spectacle is magnificent. Think like everything. I think it's a great setup, right?
Yeah,
it's a great setup movie. I don't think that. I know lots of people went into Dune thinking like, "Oh, what the fuck?" Like nothing really happens. I think enough happens in Dune.
I think more than enough happens.
But I was chock-full ready for Dune 2, and then you get all the reviews coming out being like, "This is the greatest sci-fi film ever made. This is." A better sequel than The Godfather Part 2. It's a better sequel than Empire Strikes Back. It's best. It's like, once in a generation type film. And so, sat down, watched it. What did you think about Dune Part 2?
I liked it. The hype, overblown. Overblown, have to say. I really like this film, I have to say. I have to caveat with that.
Yep.
I like this film, but at the same time, I liked the version that was in my head more,
Yeah.
And that's entirely my own fault. But there is like parts where the film just I just feel like parts were just like for example, like it's already touched on. The acting in this film is fucking terrible. Like there's not a single decent performance.
Oh no, I do completely. I think Austin Butler is great in this movie.
He's all right. Like
I don't know, I think he's great.
actually, you know, I'm too harsh. Fucking terrible is it's bad. I want to be controversial.
You watched Irish Wish, whatever the fucking that film is called.
Yeah, that is bad acting. Like there's nothing bad.
Harry Bardem.
Yeah. But like, yeah, that's like the acting isn't bad, but like, there's nothing. No one's really acting in the film. They're just kind of saying their lines. Like they have, you know, inflections. They're playing the character. Zendaya, for example, she plays the same character she does in like most of her films. Just like an American, a young American girl who's like, I don't know, pissed off about something. It's like she's always
pissed off about.
She's always angry for some reason. Well, obviously for justifiable reasons. Chalamet, he's pretty good, not amazing. Josh Brolin, not great either.
He's kind of just there.
He's just kind of there. Austin Butler's pretty good. I think
Austin Butler is like
he's all right. Yeah,
think, I would even go. I've never seen Austin Butler in anything. I don't think. And watching this is like, okay, watching this was like, you're really great, but I don't know why they didn't just get the guy that played Pennywise to not do this, because you basically look like him. You're a bigger actor, but like I don't think like size really matters in this movie. You got Timothée Chalamet being the fucking lead. Like size doesn't matter. That was the only thing. It was like, you're great in this movie, but I don't know why they picked you. Maybe because they didn't want.
It's more intimidating eyes, probably.
I also think that maybe it would have been because it would be weird to get because Stellan Skarsgård is the Baron.
Yeah.
So it'd be weird to get his son, who looks exactly like him, to then play his nephew.
I think that'd be perfect, no?
But I also think that would have added to
to the
whole weirdness of the
definitely.
the Harkins.
I think your man Skarsgård is good as the Harkonnen, as the Baron, like. But he's the same.
So gross.
Yeah, he's very good, but a lot of that is just character design. But like at the same time, the film isn't really about acting. It doesn't really matter what the actors do.
This film is about spectacle.
It's about scenery. It's about the actual the gravity, the scale of everything that's happening. It's pretty good at doing that. Like, it's very good. But a lot of that again is down to you're playing in IMAX, and the special effects are really, really good, and the sense of scale is displayed or is conveyed very, very well. You can tell that they're using like real sets. There's scenes where you can tell that the actors are like the part of the sandworm scene where he first mounts the Shai Halud. And he's like going around. Yeah. And he's trying to grapple onto the worm for the first time, and everyone's kind of watching him. Apparently that took a month to shoot, and he was being blasted with sand the entire time, and you can really feel it when you get the perspective shots when he's on the worm. But there's other stuff where like a lot of the action of the film just kind of takes place off screen, which is definitely a stylistic choice, but I wasn't a huge fan of that.
Yeah, so on my first watch, and I think that they do it on purpose. It's definitely a stylistic choice, but I think it has like narrative reason for it. When they got the big battle and the big Dune worms are coming out and they're all, you know, piling down and whatever, I was like, oh, here we go. This is what I was waiting for.
Yeah.
And then it just cuts to like midnight and the battle has been raging on all day, and you don't get to see that much fighting. Now, I think the reason why they do that is because you are not meant to sympathize or like, you know, you're not meant to be rooting for what Paul is doing here, because Paul's the villain, and if you show more cool action, you fall into the trap of being like, oh yeah, this is whopper, look at them go. So cutting that out and being like, yeah, so here's the narrative type of stuff, makes it so that it gives you a little bit of it. I would have wanted more of that, but I think that that's a different movie with a different message if they did do that.
Yeah, I suppose, but like the film, like I know Paul is supposed to be like in the next film or the next book.
Oh, he's a fucking war criminal in the next one. That's all I know.
He becomes Hitler in the literally becomes space Hitler in the next book. But the actual like the story of Dune in itself. Like he's not like he's not the good guy in the conventional sense, but he's the protagonist, and you are supposed to root for him in some kind of way, because he's fighting against evil people who like killed his family, and it's like that's all very righteous. And the fact that he becomes evil later, like the consequences of his actions become out of his control. That's like a tragic event, you know. The fact that he chooses to kind of go down that path is tragic, and it's a sign of him being corrupted by power or whatever. But you still want the action, you still want the scale, you still want the worms fighting the soldiers.
That bit is so cool though, when the worm comes out of the dust.
Yeah. I was like, like here we go, and then it just doesn't really happen. And like that is a bit childish of me, definitely. And it's definitely
it is a blockbuster movie, to be fair.
It is a blockbuster movie, and Villeneuve definitely, cock teased everybody on purpose and deliberately didn't show any of that stuff for like a very deliberate reason. But at the same time, I found thematically there's not a lot of meat in the bones for this film. There's not a lot. I thought there would be a lot more, just based on the reading of the first film, just the kind of general, like the way you can read into Dune. Like Dune is just it's like a trash, or not trash. It's kind of like a pulp sci-fi novel from the 60s. Like it's not any great work of literature, but there's a lot to read in there. Like there's so many like really compelling images, and like the metaphors are like very, very, very obvious. Like even the language used in the film.
It's called Arrakis.
Yeah, Arrakis, Lisan al-Gaib. That's a real phrase that they used to refer to poets in the Islamic world in the Middle Ages. Muad'Dib, that's the Mahdi. That's like a literal taking a page, a leaf out of the book of Shia Islam. Like that's all very, very like obvious, and it's in the film. But the rest of the film, the film just doesn't address like any of that stuff in any way at all, which I just found like a very strange cop-out, considering what could have been mined out of that. A lot of that is quite dangerous territory to get into for a Hollywood film, but I expected a bit more in terms of trying to plumb that, trying to drag something out of that. They just don't address it at all.
Yeah, I think that's like, I think that they're, when I heard that like, oh, this film really like takes down the idea of the white savior, and stuff like that, I was expecting a lot more.
Yeah.
Because like it does do it, but it doesn't do it to the extent that I thought that we were going.
That it could.
Yeah. Like I was expecting something more, and you do get it. Like don't get me wrong, it does do that, but it doesn't.
What's her name? Jessica. Her whole arc, like his mother.
Oh yeah.
Like her whole thing is like she's clearly like infiltrated. Like she openly says it to the audience.
Yeah.
We need to make sure these people support us so that we can accomplish our own goals. Like it's literally said in the film. Like this is like, it's not even subtext. It's like it's said.
It's literal text.
Yeah, but it doesn't really go beyond that a lot. Like I know Chani and her mates in the Fremen mention it to that Paul can't be trusted. Like Fremen people have to liberate ourselves and all that stuff. But again, like that's not really elaborated on really at all.
Part of the thing that I've seen a lot of people saying is, oh yeah, like it's the seeds of it are all in part one. That like this is all like this has all been constructed, whatever. But like having watched part one and then gone to scene part two the day before, or the day afterwards even, I don't really like her change from being sympathetic mother character that like you can kind of see is like constructing some. I actually don't even think that she is constructing, because like I'm watching part one, I'm like maybe it's just me misreading part one, but I feel like that there wasn't that much in part one to convey this drastic, because as soon as she takes that tree of life juice, oh, she's a villain from that point on. But like
100%.
it's like it's a real switch. It like, and then I watched part two twice now. I feel like Paul also like drastically changes, and I know the reason for that is because
you can see into
you don't want, again, it's a similar thing with the violence thing. You don't want people to like, oh, this is the struggle that he went on, and now he's like, you can now understand what's going on. He wants you to be disconnected from this change so that you don't empathize with Paul at the end of the film. Yeah. But it does also feel like you just drank this. It's the the only reason why you're bad is because you've drank this magical juice. And the magical if you didn't drink the magical juice, you'd all still be righteous characters. So the magical juice is to blame rather than anything that you are actually doing.
Yeah. I don't know. Because I feel like you're still supposed to root for Paul, you know? Because he's fighting against evil people. It's just the fact that he knows... Like
he knows he's leading to a holy war. And
he knows. But like that's again, like he could from a character perspective. Like everyone loves people love anti-heroes and all that stuff. It's like like he knows that this is a possibility that this is all gonna happen, and it's touched on in the film. It's like I see a possible future where there's billions of dead in my name. And it's also a bit underwhelmed by the actual like the visuals used to portray that. Like it's just like a 5-second shot of like bones in the desert. I thought you could have done anything with that. Especially considering like all the psychedelic aspect of the fact he takes the water of life and he can see the future and stuff. Like, you know, that's the story, but they don't really seem to use that at all. But yeah, it's touched on that he knows that this is definitely a strong possibility, but he still chooses to do it. But yeah, he doesn't really go very deeply into it. But I feel like he could, because that'd make him more interesting characters. Like, why does he choose to do this? It's because obviously he wants power. And he wants to avenge his family and all that shit. But they don't really go into it that much. Like again, like it's like the spectacle is incredible. The actual like the effects, the action when it happens is so cool.
Everything visual in this film is a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, the dramatic beats, they're all the visuals are just
the Harkin planets.
Spot on.
Oh my god.
Yeah, like I thought that was really the black and white, the change of tone, the change of I don't know, change of rhythm when when it goes to that point where you're on the Harkonnen planet. It's all black and white, and it's very on the nose. But it's also the most bold visual choice that is made in the film.
Oh, but like it's even
storytelling choice. I think
it even goes further than that, because it's not even like the whole planet's black and white. It's only when they're in the sun, because
the black sun. Yeah.
They're in the shadows, whatever, like the Bellatrix, whatever the fuck their names are, and they come walking out, and they're wearing black, but when they come into the black sun, their color changes into pure white, because it's the sun doing it. It's not the whole planet. That's so cool.
Yeah. It's a view of like an alien world, which you very rarely get in any film or media, really.
Yeah.
I thought that was really cool. The visuals, technical aspects, all like, you know, tops. Dramatic beats, all very good as well. Like thematically, I don't see what was the film actually. It's just, it feels like a bit of like a, you know, you get blue balls at the end. It's like, what the fuck? What is this?
I felt more blue balls up by the end of part 2 than I did at the end of part 1.
Yeah.
I was like, here we go, and then it just ends like, oh man, I know it's gonna be the next one, but oh man.
Oh, you were more disappointed by the end of part 1 than part 2.
No, I was more like at the end of part 1. I was like,
here we go.
I mean, no, at the end of part 1, I was like, well, I mean, like, this is the end of the movie. I feel like, and I know that the reason is because, you know, there's gonna be Dune Messiah. But at the end of part 1, I didn't get the blue balls feeling at the end of part 1.
Yeah, same. Yeah.
But part 2, I was like, all right, we're going to a fucking war, let's go. And then it just ends. I was like, oh man, I was at more of a high. The height that I was left at part 2 is maybe is that a good thing or a bad thing? Is it a good thing that I wanted more part 2 than I wanted a part 1?
It is. It definitely is. But the fact that you're gonna have to wait 3 or 4 years for that to come out. And it's like part 1, I think, works on its own. It's like, this is just a setup. Part 2 also works on its own. It's like, this is kind of...
Here's the blow off, but also we're going to be setting things up.
Yeah, this is the conclusion to the story that we set up. But there's also another story coming at the end. But like the conclusion to the story that was set up in part 1, like it's there, but like I wish there was more to it, basically. Like there isn't really, like, I don't know, I just feel like they missed... There was loads of lanes that could have gone down that they just chose not to... I'm definitely excited to see part 3. I'll obviously see part 3. Part 3 is going to be amazing as well.
Yeah.
And yeah, it'd be very interesting to see what they do with that.
Man, if part 3 holds up, this might be the best sci-fi trilogy of all time.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of any examples to counter that.
Or at least like one of the best. Like, it'll be up there as one of the best trilogies. Like, I think I mean, we've been talking about Across the Spider-Verse. The Spider-Verse movies, I think, will go down as one of the best trilogies of all time. I think, I wouldn't consider Godfather one of the best trilogies because the third one's going to be dog shit.
No, yeah.
Obviously, you got Lord of the Rings. The original Star Wars trilogy is definitely one of the best trilogies, but there's not the same consistency across all three films. But I think, like, Dune and Across the Spider-Verse or Spider-Verse might have the consistency across all three. The similar way that Lord of the Rings has consistency across all three.
Yeah. Like, this is very in step with what happened in part one. But I just feel like I wish there could have been an escalation from part one.
My only fear, Mark, is that there is more Dune after the third one.
Oh yeah, there's loads.
There's a lot more Dune. I am worried and concerned that I might have the same feeling after Dune 3. That Dune 3 might end, like Dune Messiah, might end in a way that's like, and there's more. And I have a feeling that we might just be blue balls for a while.
That's the worst timeline. That's the scenario Paul sees where it's like, I can't do that. I must refuse the title of Muad or whatever.
I'm okay with it. I'm okay with it being like a series of films.
I don't think that's gonna happen because apparently the other books are just dog shit.
Do you know
apparently they're rubbish. He turns into a worm. Yeah, his son turns into a worm. How could you make that? Because Villeneuve isn't gonna do Dune 4. Like, he just won't. He'll be like, fuck that. And then they're gonna have to get fucking, your
man that does Exorcist Believer.
Yeah, they're gonna get
David Gordon Green.
They're gonna get fucking David Gordon Green or one of the guys that did the Mission Impossible movies to make it, and then everyone's gonna be like, this is shit. Because, like, honestly, Dune 1 and Dune Part 2 would not have worked. Obviously, without Villeneuve.
Yeah.
It's been tried before and it hasn't worked at all. They had David Lynch do it and it didn't work.
Yeah.
You're not going to get someone else. You're not going to get the lightning in the bottle in the same way ever again.
Yeah.
But I do feel, I know what you mean about, like, because Dune, you mentioned the Star Wars trilogy. And Star Wars is so, like, obviously a rip-off from Dune. Once you watch Dune. It's blatantly.
Blatant.
Yeah, so blatant. But, like, Star Wars doesn't... It's just a, fantasy story, the hero's journey, all that shit. And Dune is kind of I feel like it's kind of following the same path. But the book and everything that's referenced in the story, there is clearly stuff there that it's not just the kind of... It doesn't have to be just a fantasy story. It could be something else. If it wanted to be, I don't think it is going to go in that direction. That's disappointing for me. But... whatever. I feel like if they stick to landing with Messiah, I'd say it would be definitely one of the best trilogies of all time.
Yeah, because Dune 2 is a banger.
It is.
I
is.
know that we talked a lot
movie,
about
a lot of shit about it.
A lot of negativity about it. But again, this is probably going to be the best film of the year.
Yeah,
we're just negative Nellies on this podcast. This film is gorgeous. I think that the action, when it's there, is incredible. I think Zendaya is very good in this movie. I think Austin Butler. I now understand the hype about Austin Butler, having watched this film.
Yeah.
I think Christopher Walken is just in this movie. Like, that's whatever.
Oh my god, yeah. What the hell?
I think Florence Pugh is great. I think, like, watching Dune 2, I'm there, you're sitting there and you're watching it, and you got Timothée Chalamet, and you got Zendaya, and you got Florence Pugh, and you got Austin Butler, and you're like, these four are the future of cinema.
Deary me.
I think that's a really good four. I think, like,
they're great actors, definitely. Yeah, they are great actors.
But you know what I mean? I'm like looking at them. I'm like, yeah, yous are the next, like, big
stars.
You're the I don't know, the Leonardo DiCaprio, the
Tom Cruise,
the
Jennifer Aniston,
the Jennifer Lopez. I'm looking at them like, yeah, yous are the next, like, big Hollywood stars, and yous are gonna win. You, like, in a couple of years' time, yous are going to be all the Oscar winners. Austin Butler has already been, nominated.
Yeah.
Has Florence Pugh been nominated?
What will they win it for, though?
I don't know, some film.
Some
biopic about Palestine or some shit like that. I don't know.
not a hope. Not a chance that's going to
happen. But yeah, it's, and like Villeneuve is just cemented himself as, like, one of the best modern directors.
Yeah.
Which is funny because, like, I think, like, no one... Because you got Dune, You have Arrival.
Blade Runner.
He's also done Blade Runner. He's also done, Prisoners. He's also done Untitled before, and did he do
Enemy.
Enemy.
You did, yeah.
Like you have
Sicario.
like he's just one of the best directors working today. He's
been
definitely
around.
he is easily. I have absolutely no like.
He's the best French Canadian director. Yeah, it's true.
He's the best French. He is like. Yeah, no, I'm gonna say, yeah, this is fact. This is fact, just from Blade Runner and from Arrival and Dune. He is the best sci-fi director of all time.
You can't say that, man.
Who else is there?
Well, I fell asleep watching Dune. Or sorry, not Dune. Blade Runner.
Who else is there?
Ridley Scott. Alien, Blade Runner. He's already wins. He already wins. Even if he has loads of other shy films, he already wins. Like he's just James Cameron. Like.
Oh, James Cameron does have Avatar.
Yeah, that Terminator.
But they're not really they're not really like sci-fi though. Like I'm watching Dune, and
you're getting very specific now.
Yeah.
You're getting very specific.
I'm watching Blade Runner. I'm like, oh, it's really cool, like how it's showing the mechanics of how this thing works in the sci-fi world.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing with the suits in Dune and the spaceships and stuff like that. I'm like, I can see the mechanics of how this is all working. He's very good at depicting the sci-fi elements.
Yeah.
The literal science fiction that is being displayed to you is very well explained. Even a little bit at the start where they're fucking zapping the water out of the Harkon's body, and it's like, it's bad water for drinking, but it's great for filtration, whatever the fuck he says. I'm like, yeah.
Stilgar is my favorite character.
The bit, I'm not joking. I laughed
both
times when he's just like, the Mahdi is so humble.
Yeah. He was great. He's very good.
And Dune 2 is funny. Like, something that I did not expect.
Well, yeah, in the parts where he's like, Listen, Agaib, he's like, he fucking catches a glass of water before it falls.
Yeah.
He's like, Listen, Agaib.
God, he's the man. Oh, I tell you. Speaking about adaptations, Mark.
Oh!
Zack Snyder, 2009, came out a little movie. It's called Watchmen. It's kind of an adaptation of what's regarded as one of, if not the greatest comic books of all time. It's a deconstruction on the superhero genre. It's Watchmen. Okay, so Watchmen. Not the biggest fan of Zack Snyder. I think he's
pretty shit.
For the most part, he's pretty shit.
Yeah.
I think, like, the 2000s, you have 300. You have Dawn of the Dead. You have Sucker Punch, which you don't... Actually, no, Sucker Punch is 2010s. We don't talk about Sucker Punch. And you have Watchmen. Actually, no, let's rewind slightly a bit more. Okay, so Watchmen, the comic, Alan Moore, can't remember the illustrator's name. They come out with this book. Gibbons.
Something Gibbons.
Dave Gibbons, I think his name is. They come out with Watchmen, which is a critique of the superhero comic book genre. And it is often regarded as the greatest graphic novel of all time. It's a perfect deconstruction of these characters. It demystifies them. It depicts them as... It's like... It is... like exactly what like The Boys is now. It's like it's kind of it's a gimmick, it's a trope at this stage, what Watchmen was. But it's the first one to do it, and it's deep and it's philosophical, and it asks all these great questions about politics and all this and celebrity culture and all that type of stuff. Off the bat, right, firstly, I like Watchmen, but off the bat, why the fuck do you get Zack Snyder to direct this movie?
What do you mean?
Like, why? I think the reason why they got him to do it is because he did 300. And 300 is a really...
It's a comic book, isn't it? Yeah.
It's a comic book, and it's a really faithful adaptation of that comic book. 300 is not Watchmen. 300 is a very different story than Watchmen. Watchmen is a very heady graphic novel with deep philosophical questions. Why do you get the guy that made a pretty decent zombie movie and also the most accidentally homoerotic movie of all time to be the guy that does Watchmen?
I don't know.
I don't know either.
I don't know. Well, like, yeah, he's pretty good at... I think a lot of the things that are really good about this film are completely accidental. Honestly, I think a lot of it is just a total freak of nature. I'm not a huge fan of Zack Snyder. In fact, I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder. I'm just going to say it. I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder at all. I like most of his films.
Shite.
Yeah. To be blunt about it, like most of his films are just muck. And he's like very, very gimmicky. Like it's all
slow-mo.
Yeah, slow-mo, like, you know, the oversaturation, the montage, but like to an extent it's just kind of like nauseating. This film is an example where all that stuff actually it just works.
It actually works.
It actually does work. I don't think it's because of like his talent. It's just the fact that it just kind of fits the material and it fits the way it's presented. I don't think the producers of this film had like some fucking grand master plan where they're like, you know, they saw the fucking Lizanne Al Gaib directing.
This is something like body.
We've been waiting for 30 years for the man who could direct Watchmen. You are the guy. That did not happen. They're just like, let's make Watchmen. It's one of the most popular comic books, and this guy just directed a really popular movie adapted from a comic book, and it just turns out that the film, in my opinion, is really good.
Mm-hmm.
That's a complete accident, but you love the little happy accidents that just happen from time to time. And honestly, I really like this film. I really like it. Technically speaking, everything is, you know, so cool. Like the montages, the Bob Dylan emo montages. You can't. Honestly,
let's just park that. Let's park that there for a second. We'll come back to that.
Fucking gold. Like the use of slow mo, like actually works.
Mm-hmm.
The oversaturation.
It's the first time ever. Fuck the Matrix. It's the first time slow mo's ever worked.
The oversaturation really works. Even the gore is like, or the gore, like, you know, for some reason, you know, the Dr. Manhattan's dick. It just
looks great.
It all just kind of falls into place. Like this, I was like, you're just thinking like that kind of makes sense in this film, and like the cast of characters, the way they deal with the scope, the way they kind of navigate through the story, Rorschach's, you know, detective case. I think it just really slots into place. It all just works, like really, really well. I think it's almost more impressive that this is completely by accident, you know, that this isn't, you know, it wasn't some grand master plan, that this just happened. It just happened that, you know, this film and Zack Snyder would find each other in any life, in any life. They would just collide. They're just kind of made for each other. But at the same time, I don't think it's like, it doesn't touch. It's kind of a thing similar to Dune, I think, and that technically, visually, it's like so compelling, really amazing. Everything's on point, but there's nothing beyond that. There's nothing, or like not nothing beyond that, but it doesn't plumb the well of themes that are like so obviously in the source material.
Yeah,
like so blatant, especially in the case of Watchmen. Like just like said on like Alan Moore, like for example, like you have literally like as if Frank Herbert was still alive, shouting about, "This is not what I meant in the book." Alan Moore is still alive, and he's like, "Yeah, this film is not what I talked about at all." He hasn't watched the film, but like that, he, you know, by all accounts, he would not like. He didn't like the TV series. He doesn't like any of the stuff that's made based on his. Yeah,
I think. Okay, so I'm gonna disagree. Right, so this is one question that I had while watching this movie. Is the idea of adaptating something. Adaptation is a very difficult thing to do. I think Dune Part 1 and Part 2 adapts the book like incredibly well. Dune is regarded as, or was regarded as, unfilmable. It was regarded as a book that could never work. You had David Lynch, regarded as one of the greatest directors of all time, making a shit movie out of trying to adapt Dune.
Yeah, it's muck.
Like if David Lynch could, I also think that David Lynch is a fucking terrible director to pick to try and direct a movie like Dune. But I think that like Dune Part 1 and Part 2 is a incredible adaptation. It takes the source material, puts it to the screen, changes certain things. Like from what I understand, Zendaya's character Shani is not as big of a role. They had to change that slightly to more emphasize the fact that, you know, Paul is a villain, and I think that works incredibly well. Villeneuve understands Dune. I do not think that Zack Snyder understands anything about Watchmen whatsoever. I think he completely misinterprets what Watchmen is putting forward. However, he is incredible at adapting the visuals of Watchmen. Like, okay. So again, like, we're allowed to spoil this. I don't have the parenthesis.
This film is 15 years old.
It was more so that the comic book I'm about to spoil. At the end of Watchmen, you get a big tentacle monster gets transported into
Squid. I've heard about the squid. Yeah,
it's a squid. In this movie, it's a nuke. I think that's completely fine to do. Like, that doesn't matter whatsoever that you did a nuke instead of a squid. But it's changes like making Rorschach the hero when Rorschach really is not the hero of Watchmen.
Mm-hmm.
But in this one, he has the big. He's depicted as the righteous voice. He's depicted as being. Like, he has the big heroic death at the end, like, do it, kill me now.
Yeah. He's badass. Yeah.
He's the guy that he kills the child murderer. He kills the rapist. He kills all these people. He's correct in everything that he does. Yeah, he also refers to an ex superhero who was murdered brutally because she was a lesbian, being like, oh, she died because of her degenerate life. He's referring to, like, I'm almost certain in the comic, I've read half of the comic, I didn't read the full thing. I'm almost certain that he's like, oh yeah, like, he's regarding, like, anyone that isn't white as being, like, a piece of shit, essentially.
Yeah.
Like, he's racist as fuck in the book. And he's like, and his death at the end isn't a heroic thing whatsoever. It's like, yeah, you're a piece of shit. Your idea of, bringing out the truth is not the right choice to do here. Like, there's moral questions to be asked, but, like, definitely going forward and asking, like, giving out the truth is not the good thing. But in the film, it's like, no, Rorschach is right. Rorschach is correct. This should be put forward, and as a result, all of his actions beforehand are justified. It's just like, that's just you're not understanding the source material. I also think that Watchmen came out before it should have.
What do you mean?
I think that Watchmen, you can still have Zack Snyder. I don't care. You can still have Zack Snyder. I think Watchmen should have came out in a post-Marvel world. Post-Avengers. Should have came out. This film should have came out 2019, 2020, 2021. It should have came out at that period of time rather than coming out in 2009 when 2 years beforehand you had Iron Man. And it doesn't have the same impact that it should have had.
Yeah. I get what you mean, yeah. It's a year after The Dark Knight, which was the same vein stylistically.
Yeah, it's like, gritty, edgy superheroes.
Yeah, but also does kind of the same thing, because, like, Snyder pussies out basically on the themes, or doesn't understand the themes, or the idea or the critique of superheroes as, like, fascists or whatever that Moore is going after. But then, like, The Dark Knight is a year beforehand. And The Dark Knight is like, yeah, superheroes are fascist. It's a good thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, it doesn't really work as those side by side. And then obviously you had Iron Man in 2008 as well. So yeah, it probably would have landed better a few years later. But
now also it's very...
It's very passé now.
Yeah, it's very like, yeah, I know that, like, superheroes are, like, propaganda and they're fascist and yada yada yada.
Yeah.
We've had The Boys, we've had Invincible, we've had Brightburn, we've had all these films.
Yeah. It doesn't hit the same way at all, because it is kind of a cliche. But it's only a cliche because I suppose this came out at the time it did, I suppose.
And also, like the idea of Watchmen itself is... Like, I don't know, maybe if the comic book Watchmen didn't exist at all, and then you got this movie, you're like, oh my god, this is incredible deconstruction of superheroes, but then you don't get Watchmen as a comic book.
Yeah.
Or maybe if you just... I don't know, make it's an impossible task, but maybe if you made something of the magnitude of Watchmen in film form, that isn't Watchmen at all, maybe even just like, I don't know, yeah, just if you did that, it would hit obviously 10 times harder. But that's creating a different, that's a past life that we don't live in. Maybe, I don't know, if you adapt, I don't know, I also don't know who like could have adapted Watchmen. Because
Zack Snyder was the man, to be fair.
Visually, 100%.
Visually.
I feel like Zack Snyder really should be like a co-director. I know that's absolutely like no disrespect to Zack Snyder whatsoever. Because I think visually, it's like most of his films are like that's exactly what you want. But like he doesn't have.
He doesn't understand
He doesn't have the depth, I guess.
Yeah, he just doesn't like.
Yeah.
Like the fact that he made this, like he made Watchmen.
It's a great popcorn movie, but Watchmen shouldn't be a popcorn movie.
So I liked it a bit more than that, to be fair. But like I probably more liked what was happening. You know, oh, this is kind of cool. I wonder where it's going to go next, rather than what actually happens on screen.
Yeah,
stuff like that. Because when I first watched it many years ago when I was younger. I really liked it. I thought it was really cool, you know, really badass. But then you think about the themes, Alan Moore as a writer, stuff like that. Then this film is kind of based on what it could have been. It's not that. It's not entirely up to scratch, at all. But visually, it is very, very good. But the fact that he makes this with a pre-made blueprint, like he's already he doesn't even have. Like
the best lines from this film are straight from the comic book.
Yeah, not only the dialogue and the story, he actually has the storyboards as well, like for the actual shots. You know, it's all that is already there for him as a guide, and he still fucks it up. But like, and then he goes and he makes, what was it, Batman versus Superman, or like, and all those like DC EU films, which were just
the
like
Snyder Cut.
Yeah, like they were just dirt, like. Like if you actually, I don't know, I'm sure like he's a smart man, good professional. I'm sure he does understand what Watchmen is about. I pretty just doesn't care. But like,
I don't know, man. I saw a clip of Zack Snyder on the Joe Rogan podcast on TikTok. Right?
What a sentence! What a sentence!
Curse words. And
what the hell, man? You need to fix your algorithm.
I'm in the fucking pits, bro. I'm in the pits of it.
You're in the pits.
But it was someone reacting to what he had said, and I absolutely agree with him. Where it's Zack Snyder talking about, you know, as a director, I try to think of different outcomes. Like, what's the possibilities? Or like, what could happen in the scene? Like, take the scene. I don't know when he did the Joe Rogan podcast.
Yeah.
I'm wondering if it was around the same time that he's like coming up with the idea of Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
Because he's coming up with this idea of Luke in Star Wars going to the cantina. And it's like, I just wonder what would happen if someone tried to rape him in that scene? And it's like, why would your brain go to that?
Maybe I am wrong. Maybe he is an idiot.
Yeah, I'm like, why would you think like that happens in Rebel Moon?
Oh,
so
yeah, you're saying.
I'm wondering, I don't know when that thing came, when he did the podcast, but it's like, why does your brain go to that? And then you're watching Watchmen, like, oh, you really are that guy. Like, you are that man.
Yeah. Yeah, no, maybe I'm being too generous there, because, there are, I remember, just some of the people in Hollywood or whatever, there's no point getting into it, but some people are in Hollywood are just, fucking idiots.
Yes.
Or they're just, businessmen, basically. Or ideas guys. Maybe he didn't actually understand Watchmen, but if he didn't, then that's kind of proven by the fact the way he made all those DC movies after Batman vs Superman, Justice League, Man of Steel, none of those, again, not to the way worse than Watchmen. Actually, it's definitely way worse than Dune in terms of how they completely just bottle approaching any themes whatsoever. There is nothing, there's no depth whatsoever to any of those films. It's literally just the spectacle of, here's this character that fighting against this other character that and it's really stimulating. Please pay for my movie, buy some popcorn, whatever. There's nothing else beyond the themes. What are the themes of Man of Steel? Family. Kevin Costner dies. That's so sad. That's it. There's no themes Batman vs Superman. Oh, the theme is it's sad when your ma dies. Like there's nothing, there's no depth whatsoever. Like he doesn't seem to actually engage with the idea of superheroes. Maybe
or themes
or themes. Like
as a concept.
as a literally as a concept, it is just literally all surface level.
Mm-hmm.
And
Watchmen is that as well.
This is it is all surface, but I think it's still a fun movie.
It is, it is.
As a surface level movie, like it's a fun detective story. And I think it's really well made. If Watchmen the comics didn't exist, like this would be, it's already well regarded, but I think it'd be even more well regarded than it already is.
Yeah,
because it's just a really fun movie. It's well made. It's really visually appealing. And man, the Bob Dylan emo montages.
Oh man, we need to talk about that.
Those are
here we go.
like honestly when.
Is that like one of the best like title cards of all time? Like
I was thinking that because when I first watched this film, I remember seeing that and I was like, oh, that's so cool, and I loved the whole film. And then I remember I watched the opening sequence again like a few years ago. It just came up on YouTube or something. I was like, oh, that's so cool. And then I stuck it on again. I forgot all about it, the fact that this was in it. Only like in the back of my head.
Come gather round, children.
Yeah, and then I started playing. I was like, this is incredible.
Yeah,
like,
it actually is incredible.
Like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
Like this is like perfect for the film. Like if you were making the perfect adaptation of Watchmen, you would probably have this at the start of it.
Yeah.
Like it's just it works so like the slow-mo, the freeze frames,
the music, and
the
like
music,
the timeline, what the music is like, what the song is saying about.
Yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
It's perfect. It's so well done. Which is such a shame because it turns out it's all just style.
Yeah, it is just style, but it's still cool.
It's so cool. I love it.
How do you make the title sequence and not understand everything?
Yeah. It's like like the title sequence nearly like explains the entire film.
Yeah.
But then the rest of the film just it's like it's like they blew their whole fucking.
They blew their load too soon.
Yeah.
It's literally
that title sequence.
And it's the only time music is used well in the entire film, because you have that like horrendously awkward Hallelujah sex scene, which is like genuinely awful. Like whatever, there's way too much thrusting in that scene.
Yeah.
There's way too much Patrick, oh my god, what's his name? Patrick Wilson ass in that shot. There's like just too much motion, and then the Hallelujah music just does not work. It doesn't work. Zach, what are you doing? What are you doing, bro? And then also later on, you've like along the Watchtower when they're going off to face Ozymandias, and it means like literally nothing. I have absolutely
it has no relation to what's happening.
I have no idea why you picked that song outside of the fact that like this song's from the 80s. We'll use that. 70s song. 70s. Yeah, same thing.
Same thing. Yeah.
Same thing.
It's all the same.
It's the only time the music is used well in the entire film. You were saying about the violence. Like one thing that I noticed on this watch was there's no violence in this movie up until and it's like 25 minutes into the film. Like outside of the fight at the start, which isn't like terribly brutal. It's like it's an old man getting beat up, but like it's not like shocking violence whatsoever. But then you have Silk Spectre and Night Owl getting like they're about to get mugged. You know, they're superheroes, so they don't get mugged. And the first bit of violence, and it's the only reason why I clocked this whatsoever was because I was watching this with Melissa. Melissa does not like violence in movies. She likes violence in movies, but she doesn't like,
gore,
intense gore. Like she had to look away when the guy was getting his arms sawed off in the prison cell. Was Silk Spectre grabs a guy and snaps his arm in half. And at that moment, like she viscerally reacted to that, and I was like, that's the first bit of like, and like I'm there like I don't really care. I'm like, oh, that's the first bit of like proper like violence that we're actually seeing. And like that, like from that point on, the violence is horrifying. It's almost like it's like perfectly well done, where like the snap of the arm, which is always awful to see, is like the movie going like, this is this kind of movie. It's not this. The movie's basically like, it's not this heady philosophical question movie. We're here for the cool violence and gore, and that is what this film is.
Yeah, it is. Like the people blown to bits and like hang from the ceiling
Yeah,
and stuff like that's
that bit, like the
gangsters like just like explode
their
or whatever.
hands, like just bones like hanging there.
Yeah, yeah. I thought it was pretty. But it was it flowed.
Mm-hmm.
It was there. It made sense. It really made sense.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of time, some of the gore doesn't really match the rhythm of the film. But in this one, it does. I think it justifies itself. It was pretty cool, in my opinion.
Yeah.
MO. I also watched the fucking uncut director's master
Schlong version.
the Schlong version. It's 3 hours and 45 minutes. It has like a comic book animated movie spliced in between it as well. It was the only version available to me, and I watched that. And I'm not even sure what differences there are. I couldn't tell you what the difference is beyond the fact that
I
they
think
have
it is just those bits, and there's like maybe a few extra scenes. But
it's
like,
an extra hour.
I don't know.
Don't know what happened, but anyway, yeah. But it didn't really affect my viewing experience. I mainly skipped through the comic, but it's fucking 4 hours.
Don't worry, bro. I did the exact same thing when I read the Watchmen comic. I literally like when
it's based on the comic. It's more faithful to the comic.
It's even more faithful to the comic. But like, it's so funny because like this is a faithful adaptation visually of the comic book.
Mm-hmm.
But in doing so, it's like you have nothing else to say.
Yeah. It doesn't adapt the ideas.
It's almost
properly.
like art should be, if you're adapting something, art should be from the time and setting that they're made from. You know what I mean?
What do you mean?
Like if you're making a piece of art, a good piece of art will say something in that moment. And also, transcendently go on to say even like its message will still last forever. But just adapting it and just copying exactly what it is and making a faithful adaptation, either visually or thematically, it doesn't really work. Like it's never like no adaptation is as good as the original source material.
Ah, yeah, of course, yeah. But they could have done more, basically.
Unless you're adapting it and doing something different.
I
Can't think of anything off the top of my head for that.
The thing.
But that's like a remake.
But it's an adaptation of the book.
Suppose, yeah.
Technically, I'm right.
Technical, yeah.
No,
On the technicality, you're allowed. I don't know. It's like maybe use the medium more for what it...
Stalker,
like,
maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but like, I feel like I'm right in saying that.
I think you're right. I agree.
Yeah. No questions from you, audience member? Okay, Grant, perfect. I'm right.
I genuinely agree.
No objections to that. Okay, Grant, perfect.
Certified right.
That was a half-baked idea that I'm going to end on because I didn't.
I like it. I approve.
Okay, Mark, that's another episode in the bag.
It is.
What is our recommended film for episode? We never mentioned that episode title. This is episode 133.
134.
Is it 34 or 33?
34.
Oh shit! What's episode 135? What's our recommended film?
For episode 135, I'm gonna go with Battle of Algiers. It's a movie from like the 60s.
I've been wanting to watch this, but
We're gonna watch
haven't
it.
bothered.
Let's watch it, guys.
That's on Amazon Prime.
I've no idea. I just want to watch it. So
Perfect, cool. I don't care.
Sounds interesting. So let's go.
Grand Battle of Algiers. What year?
Cool. 1960 something. I don't know.
What's the director?
Yeah, some French guy probably.
What's it about?
It's about the Battle of Algiers.
Perfect.
The Algerian Revolution.
Perfect.
I think it's 63.
I'll
go with 63.
I'm only asking this question because I've heard this is really good. I know literally nothing about it. I've just heard that it's meant to be really good.
I don't know anything about it except it's early 60s and it's about the Algerian Revolution and it's like a semi-documentary.
Okay, perfect.
That's all I know.
That sounds cool.
It's in black and white.
It's black and white.
It's in black and white. Let's go.
All right. See you all. Goodbye.
Bye.